Hello. Hello. Welcome to Lead Taken. I'm Mika. Here at Lead Taken, I talk all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. Welcome to the channel. Welcome. I'm going to turn off because I'm going to hear this notification in a minute. There we go. So, again, happy Friday, happy Venus Day. We're talking about modern witchcraft. Um, the book, I got it on Kindle. I'm go back and forth with this. Sometimes I'm a Kindle girly and sometimes I'm, a hardback. But this was on Kindle Unlimited. If you have that, and it was on Kindle Unlimited. I didn't have to pay for anything like that. So that was had a lot to do with why I went with the Kindle instead of getting. Eventually get the physical book. I actually like this book. Spoiler. So if you wanted to know, I enjoy it. So let me get into the topic. I'll move my things over here. Get my screen right. Yeah, but we're talking about the Modern Witchcraft Spell Book, your complete guide to crafting and casting spells by Skye Alexander. I like the way she writes. I have several of her books that are in the Modern Witchcraft series, so I'm a fan. Um, I'm going to give you my honest thoughts, but I'm also going to use this sort of as a jumping off point to talk about writing, spell writing itself. So, specifically, how spells are written traditionally versus how I layer and enhance them now in my practice. And yes, I'll be bringing in my own book of shadows for this one as well. So, if you've ever read a book, a spell in a book, and thought, okay, this is nice, which I have, this is nice, but what else could I add to make it more me? This is your video. You're in the right place. So, we're going to talk about that. And spoiler, I have been running today. I just sort of got back in the house not too long ago. I feel like I'm running. I was like, okay, let me go on. I'll go live later today. And I got, just did stuff I would do afterwards. I see this as weird doing it like this. I feel weird. But anyway, all right. So now that I've said that, this book is exactly what it sounds like. It's a big collection of spells. Let me keep this up. So it's a big collection of spells. It's very beginner friendly. Um, but honestly, I think if you like advanced witches, you could find some inspiration here. I did, and I'm going to highlight some things. It covers the basics: love, money, protection, home, health, and then goes into more specific spells for modern life. I do love that. Christopher John says, I'm creating an ongoing spell which involves my art. Oh, you love that? Thank you. Oh, I like that. I have done that too. Like this over here, this is my art, and this is definitely a spell within it. This is for Hecate. So I get it. And I take it a step further in my books of shadows, but see, I'll get to talking about that. I love infusing art or crafts and things like that into the magic as well. I like when people knit things and they sort of use the essence of not magic into like knitting and things like that. I think that is so cool. Anyway, um, one thing I like because I have my notes because y'all know I go on a tangent. One thing I do like is how accessible the writing is, but Skye Alexander is really good about that. It doesn't assume you have rare herbs, though. I've had books in the past where I have to send away for some very expensive things, and I only see it mentioned like once, maybe twice. So I was like, I'm going to buy this item, and I'm probably not going to use it very often, But it doesn't have like all these rare herbs. I mean, mostly everything was accessible. I thought. Um, and it doesn't assume that you're practicing in a very specific tradition. I do appreciate that. They talk about like the law of three a little bit, but not it's not too much. Um, the downside, at least for me, is that many of the spells are written in a very cookie cutter way. It's like light this candle, say these words, done. For me, now there's nothing wrong with that. But if you've been practicing, for a while, you know that spellcraft can be much richer when you layer your techniques, correspondences, and personal energy. And that's where I bring in my spells approach. For the record, they do offer correspondence charts in here and a lot of details about that. So you're getting that information. And I do like that as somebody who has done the same in my witchy activity book. Uh, I There's a lot of like information before you even get to the spells, and I think that's actually really worthy. Like planetary hours, how the Sabbaths. I was gonna say holidays, the Sabbaths, and like the days of the week correspondences, color correspondences, and all that sort of stuff. And I do appreciate that. And at the end of or the beginning of each section, they give correspondence charts as well. So like the money section or the protection section. So like gemstones, crystals, colors, flowers associated with those energies. So there's a I do like the book. I just want to be clear. I like the book. I'm just telling you where I'm at, in my practice. And I said I'd be honest. Um, I will say this though. When I first started out, I wanted spells to be straightforward. So if a book told me to use a green candle for money, something like this, and say this phrase, like, whatever the phrase was, I would follow it to the letter. And sometimes it worked, but other times sometimes it fell flat. um, Over time, I realized that spells are living things, or at least that's how I see them, as living things. They breathe with your intention. They get stronger when you add layers, like combining candle magic, like I did on Wednesday with the sigil, or adding a spoken charm with a physical action. Over time, I've realized that, like, I lost my train of thought. I was going off of my note and I was going to say something else. Don't y'all hate when that happened? It was like, I'm in the freaking point. I'm like, where was I going with this? It'll come back. It'll come back. You know what? One day, you live long enough, you get to this point. My goodness. Ah, this is because I got too much going on today. And I'm like, let me keep my thoughts. I called myself grounding before I started because I realized I was a little amped up. Maybe I grounded too much. Anyway, so I'm gonna share a couple things, like some spells and things like that, and I'm gonna keep this random. I did this on purpose. I didn't want to like have it all pre-done and all that, but I did grab my Book of Shadow that I actually set up when it was last year for the dark half of the year. I took this wizardology book and I turned it into my dark half of the year. I did a whole series about this and I was showing it. So I'm going to look in here and find a spell that I created. First of all, can we talk this book? Oh, I haven't looked at it in a minute, so we're going to look at this together. But I'm going to do a little comparison. So anyway, this is what I turned the book into. I love this for me. This is a book blessing. Ooh, this is nice. I did a good job. um, this is the Salmon page. This is not what this is about, but I'm just as excited about this, so we're going to talk about it. Speaking of art, like, come on. This is exciting. How do you not like playing with? This is why I don't understand. When people are like, oh, I can't do that. Why not? Just get a bunch of supplies and get the cutting and the pasting and the gluing it down. Yes, you can. I mean, it's a little different, but you can do it. Wait, is this one page? I can't tell. Oh no. Oh man, I really was doing in my bag with this. This is a tarot spread. I'm trying to get to the spell. Stay with me. I'm like, where did I put the spells in here? Shield of protection. Ooh, the sigils that I created. Ooh, nice. Y'all, did I write spells in here? That's why I grabbed it. Well, I do have a sigil, which is a spell, so that'll count. Let me see. I have affirmations, which is to my other point. This is nice. This is really nice. It's just hitting me. Oh, yeah, I do have a spell here. Okay, I'm like, am I tripping? Okay. This is a Winter's Embrace spell. Yes, we're not there yet, but This is a spell that I created. First of all, this is the page. Can we just talk about how nice this is? I just want to lament over this for a little bit. Anyway, I love me. Anyway, so to release the old, invite inner peace, and protect your space while embracing the transformative energy of the phoenix. If y'all hear a noise, is my dryer. I realize something's knocking around in there. So I need a white candle for clarity and purity. Here's another thing. When I write a spell now, I notice, well, I don't know, what am I saying? I notice. I like to write why I'm using those spell ingredients because I need to know why they, like, what was the point? Christopher John says layers. Like, as I create this spell, I also listen to music relating to it. Maybe I'll add a third layer, power of three. I like the way you think. So I said a white candle for clarity and purity, a phoenix red feather for transformative and renewal, transformation and renewal, a small piece of paper and pen, a sprig of pine or rosemary for protection and cleansing, a small bowl of water to represent winter's stillness, a pinch of salt for grounding, a cozy scarf or blanket to symbolize the comfort and warmth. And I talk about preparing your space, set your intention, invoke transformation, release and cleanse, bless the water, dip the pine, empower the feather. And the words are, with warmth and light, I'm safe and sound. Phoenix flames wrap me around. Then I extinguished the candles, but and I did this last winter, by the way. um, thank the elements, the phoenix, winter's energy for their guidance, and so forth. Um, so with something like this is like a simple spell. But if I've added in other like okay, so what I'm trying to get to is the simplicity of like the spells in the book is typically like get a candle. Some things you didn't need anything, you were just, using your mind essentially. But for the spells that did involve certain things, like there was something for a money spell that involved 14 tea light candles or votive candles. Thank you. Um, and I was like, why do you need 14 candles? Because you do one candle and then you do that, like, I think they were saying, like, at the new moon. And then by the time the full moon comes, you would have each night you light each one of the candles. And in 14 days, when the moon starts to get full, then, like, you combine all these and any residual wax, you pour it into another container. And that's supposed to represent your new way of thinking about money. I don't inherently think that's a bad thing or that that's like not a good spell. It would be a lot of work, and I'm okay with that, the workings. But I don't know. I just felt like I don't know if I would do 14 individual candles. I just get a very large candle glass, like the 7-day candle, glass candles, and I would just keep relighting it for the day, like from the new moon into the full moon. And I've done something like that before, when I wanted to add protection to someone, and they were it was going to be over a period of time. So I would light the candle, and you just keep your eye on it, and make sure it burns to a certain point. And I timed it, so I know how 7-day candles burn, so I just timed it a certain way. But the point was to light it at a certain point. Anyway, um, but things like that, I felt like that might, I mean, I guess if it resonates with you, but that didn't resonate. I would just use the one candle. I wouldn't use 14 green candles to do that. Also, anyway, in this spell, to kind of exhibit what I was talking about, and this is technically a simple spell for me, but like having a scarf or a blanket. So this is where the magic continues. I'm no longer, it's not just about lighting candles and writing a petition and keeping a petition underneath of it. The blanket is kind of almost like the end prop, or one of the what's the word, coated with energy from the spell. So it continues. So you have like a physical manifestation, something you can put your eye on, something tangible that is reminding you in like a trigger in your mind of what that represents. That's why I like charming objects and like an amulet or something like that, because sometimes we need the physical. Like for me, this has a lot of energy, my necklace, and so does my bracelet. I don't take these off. And these were both gifts from different people who love me dearly. And I'm somebody who strongly believes that energy around love is so like love energy is so powerful. And when people truly love you and they're loyal to you, whether it's family, like this, a family member got this for me. There's so much in that, and so it's also protective because I, added that additional intention into it as well. But it's protection. It's also well, I'm not gonna get into all what's in here, but the point is a lot of energies are wrapped into this little stone, and this is my birthstone, this aquamarine, and what comes with aquamarine and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, I digress because I'm going on a tangent here. My point is this, for me, would be a simple spell, and there's probably more elements that a lot of other people would like. Like, why am I bringing in a feather? And in the book, there's a red phoenix feather in the book. That's why I did that because it's on one of these pages on here. I can't remember where, but anyway, there's like a red feather. Oh, it's right here on this page. Duh. Let me show y'all. So I created the spell because of this. Is the feather that came with the book is supposed to be a phoenix feather. So yeah, that's why I created it. And it's on the page. It's like a pop-out book. But yeah. So all these components, there's different meanings behind each thing, and this is like a spell that's layering all those things. Where a book like the Modern Witch Spell Book, what I would have noticed is they would have broke this up and it would have been several different spells. Something for clarity and purity, another thing for transformative renewal, another thing for cleansing, another thing for grounding. Where I'm stacking all these elements, different ingredients to mean different things, but it comes together and creates its own magic. Not saying that the spells are not doing that, but mine is a little bit more complex. But this is just over time. This is kind of how you start to think. The more work you do, the more spells that you create and things like that. And I will just say, um, you got to do work. You actually have to put the time in and practice and do the magic. And it's easy to kind of just like get out of it. And like, especially if you've been doing successful spell work and you've created your own spells and things are going smooth, because I've experienced this. May you get here too if you don't know what I'm talking about. And I feel like I've done so much work, and I have mostly everything I need. Of course, there's new challenges, and I address those, but I don't necessarily do like elaborate spells and things like that until I do. And if I continue on that kind of wavelength, I gotta be careful. And I did go through that. I've talked to you guys about that, where I kind of was like, I don't know, I wasn't. And part of this also had to do with like some hormonal shifts. And I just had a sense of like, especially last year, of just overall apathy. Like I just wasn't feeling it. Once I got through that, I was able to kind of get back in things, and I'm feeling great now, and I'm in a great space. So, like, I'm magic all day, but I was definitely feeling out of sorts, and I wasn't doing as many spells. And I feel like if you go too long without doing spell work, you get rusty. I'm gonna just say that you can get a little rusty. Question: should you never share a photo of your altar? There are people. I think that's something that has to do with your personal ethics and your personal beliefs on it. I have no issue. I have shared, literally, there are various altar situations happening right behind me. And I'm open about it and I share it. But I'll be honest with you, sometimes if I'm working on, so like the bare altar without like any work that I'm doing, yeah, I'll sometimes share that. If I'm sharing work, it's meant to be public. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I'm doing it on purpose. The things that I'm working on, like the personal things, like I'm gonna be honest with you, any wealth, money, spells, even if I showed something, because I share things with the members, and I'll be having a video going up this weekend for my members, and I show the nitty gritty. There's always more layers after the fact. Basically, I keep some of it for myself. There's always another layer that I like to add. Well, I like to layer spells, but there's always another layer that I'm not giving away completely because they don't need to know everything. Same thing with the altar. So a basic setup, like, oh, look, I have, the different elements represented and that's it. I don't understand why that's an issue for some people. That's just me. I don't have an issue with that. I probably, if I was like, I had working spells and workings happening, no, I wouldn't share that. Especially if it wasn't something that wasn't for content purposes anyway. No, I wouldn't share that, if that makes sense. All right. So now I want to kind of give an example of a spell that I would have done way back when. So I made some notes about that because I just went off of memory. I couldn't find my OG book of shadows. But I would take, like, for money, it's like a money spell. So I would take like something simple, a green candle, because green for money. I'd write like a dollar sign or, wealth, prosperity, money, all three, like those words on a piece of paper. I would put it under the candle and say something like, money come to me. Just those simple steps, short and sweet. Sometimes it would work. If the question is, well, did it work? Sometimes, yeah, sometimes it did not. Sometimes, maybe not. But it didn't really hold energy. And it didn't involve me in a process beyond lighting a candle. It was, excuse me, like making a wish, not really a spell, if you follow me. Now, I have my notes here. So now here's how I would approach it, um, but with the same intention today for money, um, using my approach today, the spells and spells and spells. So I'd start with a candle, but I'd carve a sigil. So maybe my sigil is going to be the dollar sign because that resonates, right? But I would carve a sigil on a candle that I design for wealth flow into it. So maybe I would take a dollar sign, but I'd add another element to personalize it. I'd dress the candle, I'd add cinnamon and basil, and I would use my money manifesting oil, wealth oil. Some things I've created, some things I've purchased. I'd write a petition, but with a clear statement, something like, and I've done this, money come to me with ease. Opportunities and resources come to me swiftly, easily, and in abundance. Because that's what I would want. Opportunities, resources. This is how my brain goes. This is what I think. I'd place that under the candle along with maybe a coin or something to anchor it, or a crystal that's associated with like money, wealth, prosperity, abundance, and things like that. And if I couldn't figure it out in time, because sometimes if you're like me, you just collect the crystals, you forgot what they are, and you don't feel like looking at your crystal Bible. As long as it's green, boom, we good. I'm born with color. Then, yeah, so I'd use that like an anchor, and then I to your point, Christopher, I play like sounds, music, something about money. I'm gonna have that music going. So that's easy to do, right? You play some music that you associate with like money and money coming to you. Um, m- okay, me personally, and this is just a caveat. I've heard people, oh, I like trap music, and they talking about getting money and doing all this stuff. That doesn't, because I'm not that doesn't actually resonate with me. And what I end up doing is like, I start hearing the negatives in the song and I'm focused on that. I don't, I can't skip past the negatives in the song because of the part where they're talking about getting money. Like, it doesn't really work in my brain that way. So I don't like stuff like that. But I will find other music. Honestly, old school stuff works better than anything. Old school music of almost most genres, honestly. Anything newer, like rap music or like any of that sort of stuff, like I can't. That's me though. And I grew up with hip hop. So I've it's still very much a part of the music that I listen to. I just can't do it with that type of thing. I can't disassociate the negative bits in the song. Um, But lucky, I have a couple songs that I can usually find, or sounds. And if you don't want lyrics and stuff like that, there are so many options on YouTube for like, um, where it's just sounds and they talk about, abundance and prosperity flow and things like that. And you can play music like that instead. Um, Otherwise, I would chant. I would have some words prepared, and I would just chant instead, to be my music. Also, for money, especially, I'm not. I back in the day, I would do like small spells for like, just to pay this bill or do something like that. But because I would want to layer it more and I typically want a bigger windfall, I'm going to want to work with the moon a little bit. You can do things when you want, but if you can, if you can make the time, if you can be prepared, um, ahead of time, I like to time it with a certain moon phase. It depends on what else is going on, but um, a waxing moon versus a waning moon, if you get what I'm saying. Like, as it's increasing, the increase, that's the point. A Thursday to boost that prosperity energy also. Um, and how I would kind of take an action with it, depending on so if it's business, I'm going to have a new product. I'm going to do some promotion. I'm going to create something new. You know what I mean? So if it's a business thing, I want money through the business, I'll do it like that. But like if it's work, a job or something like that, what are you going to do? You're going to apply for a job. That's the next actual mundane action you're going to take. Um, Send an invoice again if it's a business thing. Um, and also, kind of checking in honestly on my budget and looking at opportunities like with my bank account and things like that, or invest. If listen, I'm not balling, but I got a little investment account. But see if you can make some changes. Like you're basically doing the mundane actions within your power, and then the rest is going to be the magic. But that's how I would approach a money spell at this point. I listen to a YouTube playlist of 1987 as I do my working. So strange how that year is popping up. Magic. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. But if you notice, it's not just one spell technically. There's so many other elements coming into play. And then if I was to be doing, which I have for my business, so then on top of that, I'm doing some other layered work on top of it. Then I'm going to be doing some protection because I want to make sure I'm protecting my investment and so forth. So, like, it's spells on spells on spells. So it's never just about the money, But just to stick to my example, so it would be like candle, sigil, charm, timing, action, like all these other layers. And then I would throw in something on top of that. And then going forward, I'm going to align to this energy in ritual. So maybe I would time that around the next waning moon phase, and I'm doing that same chant. You see what I mean? Like, just to keep layering it. And it doesn't feel like a lot of work when you are like locked in and you're focused on what you're trying to do, contrary to this whole concept of, well, you want it and just don't think about it and it'll come. I'm not obsessing about it. I'm aligning with it. I really believe this is working. So in my situation, hey, somebody, purchased something from me. Let's say they went to leadtaken.com and they purchased something from me. So I'm like, if that happens within, let's say, a week of me doing this, I'm like, great, that worked, right? So that works. So here's the thing. I want to increase the whole point of this. By the way, the word increase would be included in this, but I would keep working at it, keep promoting, keep doing my mundane aspects, the mundane work behind the scenes. But I would be adding the magic on top of that because I would be saying that charm as I work, as I create something new, as I'm talking about something. I would always add another layer to it. Um, Hopefully, this makes sense. This has been a successful approach for me on doing spell work. Okay, so and that's why I say books like the Modern Witchcraft Spell Book, I'm getting a message, spell book are great starting points. But I believe the real magic comes when you take those basic spell instructions and make them your own. That's all I'm saying. Add your flavor, your layers, your energy. The book actually, one of the good things, they talk about layering your or not layering, they talk about energy signatures, and I like what they talk about in the book about that, because and that's all I'm saying, add your signature. There, listen, to this day I will, because I buy spell books, I'll look at something, especially if like I need, I almost use it like what do you call that, bibliomancy. Like I'll go in that section and just hold that section and say what pops out to me, what makes sense. Boom, and then I'll modify it, make it my own. Anyway, um, do you guys normally follow spells written in books, or do you immediately tweak them? It is a very rare event that the spell is something I can just do exactly as I see it. That's me though. I almost all it, even if it's like all the right ingredients, the order of operations makes sense to me. I have all those things on hand. I've noticed I'll see that, but there's nothing to say. Like, what am I saying? Am I speaking a intention out loud, an incantation, an affirmation? Am I what charm? What? Um, so I noticed you'll be missing that. So it's like, okay, so now I got to create that. So sometimes it's just enough, and I just have to, basically say something, create the words to say. Anyway, so that's my review. And that's my reflection of the Modern Witchcraft Spell Book. I think it's a good reference, especially again if you're new or if you want a quick starting point. But don't stop there. Let your spellcraft evolve. And if you want to see more of how I build spells, keep an eye out for this series, because this is what I'm going to be doing going into September. Spells on spells on spells series. This is my favorite thing to do, by the way. So you're gonna see more of this. So I'll be layering these spells more. I'll be doing some stuff, more stuff live, and showing you how to do it step by step. You said, oh, Insky says, if it's from a book or blog, I probably alter them mostly because of tools or ingredients. That's the number one reason, most of it's because, like, I don't have all the things, so I have no choice but to alter it. That alone is the number one reason I think most people don't follow it directly, because you just don't have everything. However, I will tell you, there are people, because I've come across them, who will follow it to the letter. I used to be one of those people, because I was afraid and didn't know. And I was like, I don't know, I'm not too good at substituting and things like that. Um, Especially, okay, let me tell you, if I give a ritual to someone and it includes a spell, I'm going to make sure the person has access to the items that I suggested or can get access to it, because I had something particular in mind. And usually I'm having a conversation with the person, so I already know if they have these items. So if I'm giving this to you, we've already talked it through. I'm giving you basically the hard copy, so to speak, for you to follow and do it, by yourself at a certain time. And that's when I know people do it to the letter, because we talked about it. So I know they did it to the letter, and but they were part of sort of the building process. But that's business stuff. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, that is basically my review on the Modern Witch Spell Book. I think it is. I think it's worth adding to your witchy cabinet. There were some really modern, decent spells in here. I do want to point that out, and I like the way, again, the book was kind of set up, where they give you the spell working basics, then they talk about spells for all. Introduction. Sorry, then the spell working basics, and they break down so many, like timing for spells, a place for spell working, nature's magic, the power of words, and all that. A lot of good upfront information. I was actually impressed with the level of details about that. It's good. And the spells themselves, like I said, beginner friendly. You can be inspired if you've been practicing for a while. But I like the book. So yeah, I would definitely recommend adding this to your witchy library. This book here, the Modern Witchcraft Spell Book. So that would be the review. The only other thing I want to mention is this is coming real soon. The Witchy Activity Book. This is something that I've created. I'm sharing it early because I'm excited about it, but it's not ready yet. I'm waiting for. I actually just anyway, I'm not gonna. I got an email today. I have to do. There's some issues and through the publishing that apparently I have to resolve. Yeah, I waited this long to get this email, so I'll be working on that this weekend. And I do just want to point out, because I've been talking a lot about Books of Shadows. This is my Book of Shadows for the Hearth Witch. These books are available on Amazon, my website, leaptaken.com. The link's in the description, as well as on the TikTok shop. And this is also the Book of Shadows for the Love Witch. Book of Shadows for the Love Witch. She is also available in all the places that I mentioned. And then I also sell one of my most popular books, the Hoodoo Grimoire. This nobody makes anything like this. And these are my personal Books of Shadow copies, so I actually have my things in here. My pages that I've set up. So I have my works in here and so forth. But anyway, yeah. This is basically a book where I have it set up where I give you some front-facing information. The books start with a dedication, if you had no idea. And with the Hoodoo Grimoire, it's a short table of contents. You have your information here about Hoodoo. And then about halfway through, we start with the blank pages, and that's where I filled in with my information. And there are tea-stained pages, which are absolutely beautiful. I don't know if it registers on here, but they're tea-stained pages versus the other books, the Book of Shadow. There's for the Love Witch. This one just has, just a border around it. They all have a different flavor because duh. And the Hearth Witch, same thing. This is my book that I work with. But also minimal, the point is for you to work it. So there's some decoration on the page, but minimal. So you can do as you want with it. I think true belief is a major component, also along with whatever physical objects you're using. I totally agree with that. True belief is a major component. Yeah. A big thing. I'm going to get into that when I'm talking about spells and spells and spells. Honestly, I do think my approach with so many layers, for me, it connects me because I'm thinking about all these different components. Like just the preparation, I'm already getting aligned with the energy. Like it starts for me in the beginning. It starts when I ask the question. Oh, I got a hair sticking up. Anyway, when I ask the question, like, well, what if it was this way? Or, well, what if that happened? What if I could make that happen? Once I start like thinking like that, and then and I visualize it, which by the way, that book talks about visualization, which I think is a big part, at least for me. I don't understand people who say, well, my brain doesn't work that way. I don't do visualization. I don't know what to tell you because I do, but I do. What I would tell you is there are other ways around that if you can. I would say scripting or just speaking about it. Tell a story to yourself. If you don't feel comfortable talking, to speak out loud. But you can, I don't understand people who tell a story and don't see it playing like a movie in your head. Like, what are y'all experiencing? All right, we're done. I'm not going to keep talking because I see I'm about to go into a whole nother storyline on something else. But anyway, happy Venus Day. Happy Stray Kids comeback. This is my t-shirt that I got when I went to the Stray Kids concert in LA back in June. And I manifested that as well. My concert going experiences, those were all my manifestations. I had those in my book, what I call my manifesting book. And I had that in there, and it got real tricky because I was on live talking, trying to buy tickets, and they sold out, and the tickets were all gone. And I thought my heart was like, I was like, no, no, and I just had to believe positive, think positive, and I did. And they added another show, and that's when I went and saw them on a Sunday. And Ski saying it's probably infantasia, not being able to see images in your head. Is that what that's called? Okay. We can still imagine, but there's no movie. Okay. You can, thank you. Cause I was like, I don't understand that. Like, isn't that like a human thing? So there's like, cause for me, I'm seeing a movie. Like I can smell scents, like on left to myself. Like if talk about daydreaming for me, if you're watching me, you'll just see me just staring off into space. I got a whole thing going on. I'm also one of those people who, if I'm truly bored, I used to do this as a kid. If there's a movie I've seen enough times, I could play that movie in my head and just be like staring off into space. And the movie's going on in my head. I like that skill. I think that's creative and a talent personally, but I digress. Anyway, I hope everybody enjoys their weekend. Um, and all that good stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I will next. Oh yeah, that's what I'm going to tell you guys. So I have some company coming into town, so I won't be on live next week. But there will be videos, but I won't be on live. There will be videos though. And yeah, that's it. So I'll keep the series going, but yeah, just not live. But I'll, check in with you all the following week back in September. I'll see you then. All right. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, please. Check out the books that I offer. Again, they're on my website. And check out my website, leaptaken.com. I offer services. I do readings. I do moon readings. Those are a monthly subscription if you choose to. And I have an Ask a Witch series, especially if you did have questions about spell work and how to compose. If you're kind of already practicing and you need some help understanding what to put together, that particular service is great for that, for like asking questions about spells, rituals, especially if you just need a little help. I can help you with that. All right, thanks again. Bye.